Thank you. The chair now turns to the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me, by way of a parenthetical, just add one option to my distinguished colleague and good friend from Oregon's options as to how best to control this arena. He's alluded to the department and the courts. I would add to the mix our market system, our free enterprise system, our system that served this country for about 250 years and made the agricultural sector the envy of the world. And I would suggest as a philosophical matter that the more we go down the path of unnecessary regulation and the more we exceed what I think is either statutory and or common sense authority, the more we're going to diminish our agricultural sector and its spot in the sun. And I think you'd agree, Mr. Secretary, that in a time of a failing world economy and a difficult economy here at home, we can look to our agricultural sector as one that's not only been a bright spot, but whose progeny throughout the economy has been very, very good for us. Just a parenthetical comment. Let me just ask a couple of questions and then just kind of a stream of consciousness, if you will, that will carry me through my 5 minutes. You'd indicated in response to a question before that you believe that the department has statutory authority to regulate plant-based biotech crops. Can you specifically point to the portion of the United States Code that gives you that authority?
CFR Part 340, Section 340.6.
Which provides?
Essentially indicates...
Not essentially. It provides what?
It directs the department to have one of three options that it considers.
You want to provide that for us for the committee? Because there's certainly a good many people, including myself and a good many others in the sector, who do question the statutory authority of the department. Not directing this to you, Mr. Secretary, but I think it's endemic of a problem throughout our system today where when we go home, as we are in about 25 minutes for the weekend, then the government's controlled by people who are unelected and whose statutory authority is somewhat questionable. So I do question that authority, and I'd like to see your, at least your indication of what you believe that authority is. Let me ask if the department has calculated in any way the economic impact of these new regulations on alfalfa on farmers, specifically what the impact is now and what it will be down the line.
There's not been a specific economic analysis, Representative, if you're talking about a thorough and complete analysis that you would normally that would normally require our chief economist to get engaged. There has been a recognition that what is being discussed in the various alternatives is in some parts of the country, in a sense, already being done by the industry. When you talk about stewardship contracting, for example, and you distinguish between the various pollinators that are involved with alfalfa, and you distinguish various zones and ranges of protection, that's already in a number of stewardship contracts that are being considered. So what we're talking about is an extension of that. Now, there has been some indication during the course of the review process, feedback to us, that a significant percentage, as much as 20% of the country could potentially be impacted by this. I have not had a chance to verify whether that's accurate or not.
So the answer is there may have been some vague assessment, but you certainly can't provide that for us today. Let me go back to your answer to a previous question. When I asked you the question as to the basis for the department's statutory authority, when I went to law school, I believed, and I still believe, although I haven't practiced for a while, that the CFR to which you made reference is not the statute. Those are regulations. I'm talking about the specific statutory language passed by the Congress that enables you to extend your authority. CFR is not statutory language, Mr. Secretary.
It's the Plant Protection Act.
Well, what you quoted for us was not statutory authority. It was regulatory actions. And that's my very point. Regulatory actions are not statutory authority. And my concern is that we're now extending into significant new areas the path can lead from alfalfa to wheat to corn to soybeans, which would have dramatic, staggering impacts on American agriculture. And I would suggest that this is being done with at least questionable statutory authority. And I would like you to provide for us what that authority is. And if, in fact, you think this Congress needs to buttress up or limit or expand that area, then we certainly would have an opportunity to look at it. But I think this body, and not unelected bureaucrats, ought to be the people who are making those regulations and laws for American agriculture.
Congressman, I'd be happy to provide you portions of the Plant Protection Act under Subtitle A, Section 411, and others. We'd be happy to provide that to you.
I guess my last question is, do you believe, and I do appreciate your being here with us. I appreciate your previous calls of courtesy to me. I think your department is doing its very best. We may have a little philosophical difference about what very best means, but I do appreciate your good faith. I guess my last question is, do you believe that that these new regulations that we're looking at could well become a precedent for a whole wide variety of new biotech crops, or are you going to limit this to alfalfa?
The gentleman's time has expired. The Secretary would like to answer.
Okay.